What is up, everyone? My name is 𝘏𝑗𝗏𝗏 from NASCAR on MDK. We're back to the episode of Inside Lines. Guys, I'm going to give you a quick recap from today's eNASCAR iRacing Pro Invitational Race. I decided to throw back to the past, more specifically to 1987, to North Wilkesboro Speedway. This will technically be the first time that racing has ever been taking place, at least sanctioned by NASCAR, at North Wilkesboro since 1996. What we saw was a pretty entertaining broadcast. Saw some really good racing. Wasn't much of a wreck fest as I expected it would be. I mean, to be fair, North Wilkesboro is a short track, and if you look at the history of short tracks with the Pro Invitational Series, it's not been good. Again, we look at Bristol, how chaotic that was. Richmond was alright, but I thought North Wilkesboro would be absolute chaos, but it was chaos, but it was still pretty fun to watch. So let's get into it. So lap 1, Cole Custer started on pole with Ryan Preece on the inside lane. And those two drivers were really side by side for about 2 or 3 laps. Custer was on the high lane, Preece was down low. It looked like Custer was able to hold off Preece because he gets that run on the top lane. It looked like the top lane would be the preferred lane throughout the entire race. Custer was then able to clear Preece on lap 4. But it was then on lap 5 where we saw the first caution of the race take place. And what a coincidence, it involves John Hunter Nemechek and Denny Hamlin off of turn 2. Hamlin gets into Nemechek and collects others to bring out the first caution. Now, the reason why I say what a coincidence is because last week, let's flash back to last week, Denny Hamlin gets into John Hunter Nemechek, and then a few laps later, John Hunter Nemechek offers payback to Denny Hamlin, takes him out, and John Hunter Nemechek disconnects to sort of offer like a little bit of a payback, a sort of a, hey, I remember what you did a few laps ago earlier at Dover. So as soon as I saw that, I instantly thought of, oh, it must be payback, it must be something, but ultimately it looked like it was just a racing incident as those two drivers would not get into each other for the remainder of that event. Now, when you come to a track like North Wilkesboro, tires are key, very important. We see a lot of strategies take place later on in the race with some drivers staying out, trying to bank on getting shorter runs, with a lot of drivers coming to pit road, getting 4 fresh tires, starting around mid-pack, and just driving their way through the field. We saw a lot of that take place specifically with a long green flag run that took place much later on near the end of the race. Second caution, lap 30, Timmy Hill in the 6-6 car gets into the 34 car of Michael McDowell, who then hits Eric Jones into the outside wall, bring out the second caution of that race. Then 12 laps later, Cole Custer got loose off of turn 2 and spins to bring out the third caution. Now, throughout this time, there was not a lot of like moments. It was still just normal racing. I mentioned those 2 cautions, but otherwise there was not that many eye-popping moments. However, it was absolute entertainment from a broadcast perspective between Clint Bowyer and Jeff Gordon. Those 2 bantering made great television. I'm not going to be playing the clips, but if you saw the broadcast, you understand what I mean. I ultimately believe once Clint Bowyer retires, Fox more than likely is going to hire Clint Bowyer, and they're going to put him in the booth with Jeff Gordon and Mike Joy, and it's going to make, I think, fantastic television. Those 2 their chemistry between each other, and them racing against each other, it produced some awesome, very funny moments, not only here at North Wilkesboro, but also at Talladega and other racetracks or in other events in the Pro Invitational Series. Just those 2 bantering at each other. Again, it offered for fantastic television. Now, there were some drivers that I just wanted to write down some notes on how good they ran in that race. So around lap 46, which was when the restart took place after that caution involving Cole Custer, you had drivers like Christopher Bell, who had his first top 5 last weekend at Dover, finished second, runner-up to William Byron. He started mid-pack and was already up in the top 5. Then you also had Ross Chastain, who was driving in the 6th car for Roush Fenway Racing. He was up in the top 3 around lap 46. So those 2 drivers had really good runs because I was not expecting, specifically Chastain. He was sort of that driver that had moments, but I didn't expect to keep up the entire race. But surprisingly, Chastain, he didn't have a winning car, but he was inside the top 5 for a great portion of that race. Now, during this whole time, Ryan Preece got up to a tremendous lead, around like a 1.1 second lead. Caution will come out on lap 53. Unfortunately, due to the broadcast, we were not able to know what happened, but I'm guessing, I think it was a 17 car Chris Buescher brought out the caution. We didn't see what happened, but I did see the front end of Chris Buescher's car gone, so must have been a pretty big accident. But he brought out the caution on lap 53, and Ryan Preece, who had that 1.1 second lead, forfeit to pit for 4 fresh tires. We would then get a restart with around lap 61, lap 62, and then a few laps later, another caution would come out and involve Brendan Poole and 2 of our top leaders, or at least top contenders, that being Garrett Smithley and Parker Kligerman. Brennan Poole gets into Smithley, who then collects Kligerman to bring out, I believe that was the 4th or 5th caution of the time. And 9 laps later, lap 74, you had a battle for, I believe, 3rd or 4th place. Landon Castle hits the curb, hits the 3 car of Austin Dillon, and collects Timmy Hill and a bunch of other drivers to create a pileup off a 4-and-1 driver. I forgot who it was, but went head on into the water barrels to the entrance of pit road. Clinton Boyer was also involved. Jeff Gordon snuck his by out on the outside lane near the wall. And that was the biggest crash of that race. It was collected 8 or 9 cars, I believe, or at least cars that were stopped in the middle of 4. It looked like a junkyard for a second there. And when that restart came out after that caution on lap 74, it set up a long green flag run with Christopher Bell as the race leader. You had drivers like Dale Jr. also up near the front, and Denny Hamlin. Now, one thing about Denny Hamlin that a lot of people need to know that is he has a way of conserving his tires on iRacing, conserving his tires for a long period of time, and he showed that on this green flag run. He was around 4th or 5th place and just slowly but surely made his way up towards the front, and during a commercial break he had some issues with Christopher Bell getting by him, but was ultimately able to pass him for the race lead during commercial break. We thought, okay, well then that's it, Hamlin's going to take this to the bank and go. Not so fast. 33 laps to go. Another caution will come out. Bobby Labonte loses it off of turn 2, slams into Parker Kligerman for the 5th caution of the race. Now, with that happen, we saw some pit strategy. Do you want to pit or do you want to stay out? Hamlin and all those drivers, they pitted, while Timmy Hill, Ross Chastain, I think 2 or 3 other drivers, they stayed out. And this was around 26, 25 laps to go. So we were set up to have a pretty average-sized green flag run with our 26 laps remaining. But then 1 lap later, Clint Boyer made it 3 wide with the outside lane being Martrix Jr. To the inside was John Nemechek. Boyer gets into Nemechek at the start-finish line, and then Reddick spins Boyer and collects Gordon and a couple other drivers to bring out what will ultimately be the last caution of that race. So then when the restart came out with 15 laps ago, we had 2 incidents. You had Christopher Bell, who spun on the front straightaway, and then that same lap off of turn 2, Martrix Jr. gets turned off of 2, hits the outside wall, but those 2 drivers would not bring out the caution. It would go to the green to the very end. You had Denny Hamlin, who then gave the bumper to Ross Chastain, a little bit of a classic short track move to move Chastain up the track. Hamlin then take the lead, and then Castle, that same lap, Castle to then get into Ross Chastain entering 1, and would spin each other out. Again, no caution. That set up a bit of a battle between Timmy Hill and Denny Hamlin. I thought at first that Timmy Hill might be able to chase down Hamlin, but ultimately Hamlin would hold Timmy Hill off at bay and would have a 6 or 7/10 second of a lead, and Denny Hamlin would go on to win the final race of the eNASCAR Pro Invitational Series with Timmy Hill in 2nd place, Tyler Reddick in 3rd, Ross Chastain in 4th, and Garrett Smithley in 5th. And there was an incident there. I don't know if you guys saw it there. I might have cut the broadcast off just a little bit because I was recording it. I might have cut it off just a bit there, but right after that checker flag came out and they were doing their cool down lap, Chastain came up to Denny Hamlin and spun Hamlin around. Obviously, he did not like what Hamlin did to him, but it was a short track move. He gave you the bumper. It's a classic move. Get over it. Yeah, ultimately, that was a very fun way to cap off the iRacing Pro Invitational Series. Hamlin would win his 2nd Pro Invitational race. He won the first one at Miami and would win the last one at North Wilkesboro. And ultimately, I thought the race was pretty fun. It was a fun, normal race. It was very cool to see North Wilkesboro come back to life. Seeing some of the throwback paint schemes. We saw a Wrangler scheme from RCR between Tyler Reddick and Austin Dillon that Dale Earnhardt drove in the mid to late, or at least in the 80s as a whole, I believe. We saw John Wood return to NASCAR, driving the number 21 Wood Brothers car that ran, I think, in the 60s and 70s. Then you had Dale Jr., who ran an 8 machine that was very similar to his grandfather, Ralph Earnhardt, the one he ran in the 50s and 60s back then in the short track days. It was really cool just to see all these short throwback schemes and just to see North Wilkesboro as a whole come back to life. And look, I'm very optimistic. I don't know if it will happen, but I think hopefully this will be the jump start that North Wilkesboro needs to get the Speedway at least back under condition, because that track is a mess. I mean, I don't care if NASCAR returns. I just would like to see racing back there, like late models, or just to see racing at the Real Life North Wilkesboro track would be very awesome to see. Not really NASCAR as a whole, just to see some form of racing be there. That'd be fine in my book. But yeah, that'll be it. No more iRacing next week, May 17th on Fox. real NASCAR racing returns at the Darlington Raceway, the 400-kilometer race, I believe that is, Sunday, May 17th, I think at 3 p.m. or 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox. I cannot wait for that. I've literally there's nothing to do. I mean, outside of the Pro Invitational Series, there's nothing to watch on TV, but now I finally have something to look forward to. I know a lot of you guys have something to look forward to now on Sunday. Cannot wait for that. But congratulations to Denny Hamlin. And yeah, that was a great broadcast. Overall, had a lot of fun watching that. What do you guys think of that race? Tell me in the comment section down below. Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what are your thoughts on the whole Pro Invitational Series? Did you enjoy that series? If so, if not, whatever your thoughts may be, tell me in the comment section down below. But until next time, my name is 𝘲𝙗𝙗 from NASCAR on MDK. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. And I'll see you guys in the next video.